everyone, and welcome to the Thirsty Thursday edition of The Rundown. I am your host, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, California, behind enemy lines, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as you know, I do not do this program by my lonesome.
And build up. I'm just here in Florida. That's it. We're just Florida on the East Coast, down here in Florida. Welcome. The Thirsty Thursday edition of The Rundown. I am Mike P. Waworski.
So how we doing down there today, Mikey?
Not too bad, Craig. Yesterday, I got to spend most of the afternoon with our sponsors, visiting back and forth between them. So it was great. We'll get a special happy birthday out there for those guys, too. So it was a great day yesterday.
Excellent. It was a very, very casual day for yours truly yesterday. So mostly spent time getting my studio together. It's the great thing about doing video stuff like this is all you really see is, well, what you see. You don't always necessarily see the mess that's behind it all.
You got like a new gen studio going on there.
Well, I don't know about new gen, but I'm getting it together, man. I'm getting it together.
All right.
It's not the bourbon room.
Well, listen, the best part about the bourbon room is the bourbon room, the equipment in front of it. If I could turn the camera around right now and show you the camera, I mean, that'd be amazing in itself. But you'd be like, wow, that's a pretty interesting old school setup you got going on there, Mike. Well, I've got new gear coming today, so it's about to be the next gen setup here as well.
Nice. We're looking forward to it. I'm sure the audience will be looking forward to. Well, I don't know if I want to see you in any higher definition. You
have a point. Just for you, I may not hook up the smell-o-vision portion either,
Oh, thank you. Please no smell-o-vision. Please no smell-o-vision. That would be bad juju.
It smells like bourbon in here, is what it smells like. It's got that smoky wood oak flavor. Yeah. I don't know what you're thinking about.
Yeah, I just don't want to smell like an evening of too much bourbon.
Oh, you mean like at the end of the evening for bourbon, like a little bit of bourbon. Oh, sorry. kind of bourbon stuff. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, no.
Gotcha.
No.
Yeah.
All right, folks, let's get on to today's news. All right. Let's get started here. Okay, our first story today actually is kind of, we'll call it interesting. Mike, you've been in the Army for decades. I mean, I'm pretty sure you were in World War II. But so there's a story out being reported by the Associated Press that firearms in the military have been disappearing for years. And that military is basically either downplayed it or covered it up, and to them now it's a very huge deal. Well, you're our resident military expert. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, I could tell you that while the military is stationary, whether it be at stateside or in overseas in their facilities, in their armories, in their arms rooms, that the weapons themselves, the pistols, rifles, machine guns, assault rifles, because those are technically assault rifles if you do the German translation. These are real machine guns is what they are. They are very, 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 very secure. The Army has a whole a team of people, physical security specialists dedicated to it, regulation after regulation, AR-190-11 arms, ammunitions, and explosives. That's very, very secure in what they do. If something is stateside were to disappear, it is usually to and from the training event. And when that happens, I can tell you that I don't care if it's a group of 10 guys that went out to qualify. If they come back with 9 weapons, the entire post of 50,000 people is locked down until that weapon is found. And I've been on lockdown on posts for days at a time until they figure out what's going on. I really see this as an issue with moving equipment back and forth overseas to the war zones and then back here. We trust carriers, commercial carriers to bring this stuff a lot back and forth. Contract carriers, military's with it, but you're transporting stuff in less than ideal circumstances, and then you've got things in less than ideal locations. So I would say a lot of this stuff disappears in transit, and then when you try to marry the paperwork up to it, it just it doesn't work out well.
Why do I find that so very easy to believe? I guess the thing that gets me is in many cases you have government is not very good at being accountable.
Right.
right? And in this particular case, they recognize that it's a problem. I don't know that it's necessarily something that is covered up as much as it is something that's not widely advertised.
A lot of it, and I see it with the military even today, is they're so secure. Systems are so secure. Like if you wanted to go use a government computer, there's no Wi-Fi. You can't use the thumb drive. There's no disk drives. It's all must be hardwired, must go in, must log in, must use it. So to the point where, let's say, one person that's in charge of the inventories for your arms and ammunition, they leave and get transferred to another post. Well, if they leave before the other person shows up to relieve them, they can't share those records. They have to go back and recreate. So you'll get 3 years of beautiful, perfect records, and then the next guy comes in a week later, and you're basically starting over from scratch. It's a really difficult time. They've gotten so secure that they can't share the necessary items that they need to share.
Yeah, well, yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, but what do you think specifically about this notion that the military is actually covering it up?
I don't think they're covering up. I think what goes on a lot is, it's the nature of the military. You don't want to report bad information to your boss because your boss is the one rating you. So a lot of times it's okay. Well, you're saying our count is wrong. We'll go back and recount it. We'll go back 6 months and recount it. Let's start all over again. You could delay the process, for enough time to where when you finally relay that information, it might be to the new boss and you're leaving, so he can't rate you. So it's still reported. It just might not be on time. And I want to say this for sure. The stuff I'm talking about is the paperwork accounting errors.
Right.
Because you do your number counts every day. If there was a firearm missing that day, it'd be total lockdown. If there was a burglary or a robbery that day, it would be completely locked down and reported to the police, and those things would be out there. Now, military has great arms rooms, and I'm not even going to go into what they entail because I can't. And I'm just saying that to get into a gun store and break and get those guns out is probably 1,000 times easier than it is to get into a military base or even a remote military facility. I think a lot of this is paperwork stuff. I saw nothing in this article that made me believe there was a high number of fraudulent, paperwork cover-ups to cover up the internal theft of firearms. There's probably a couple places where it occurred via transport, back and forth, some thefts, some robberies, and a couple of those guns got out there. But I would say the number of that is you can count on.
Come on, Mikey. Come on, Mikey. Look, that does not make for a good headline.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
You are ruining the headline.
I am sorry.
And you're making our lead story kind of boring.
I'm sorry. Yeah, listen. The real problem is, and there are guns stolen, and it's when they move back and forth overseas. That does happen, but listen. You want to talk about where guns are stolen? How about when they're stolen from the ATF, evidence locker up in West Virginia because the security guard lied about being a felon for 10 years and he stole something like 100,000 guns or something ridiculous. Does that happen elsewhere? That happens in the military also. I'm sure.
That does actually
happen. Yeah, it's a real story.
But yet they want to tell us how we should store our firearms.
Oh, ATF's horrible. ATF's horrible. I will say this: the military standards versus the ATF standards are just night and day. Absolutely horrible. Yeah,
I'm quite confident that they are. All right, moving on to our next story. Now, I found this one to be interesting, and I, as a part of what I do outside of this program, my job is to follow media. Normally, partially so that you don't have to. So I often read the LA Times. I often read George Skelton, who's a columnist with the LA Times. And he wrote an interesting op-ed. And in this op-ed, he basically, to sum it all up, he in essence said, well, it was wrong for this judge, for Judge Benitez, to overturn California's assault weapons ban. But he actually is probably standing on very solid legal ground. So in other words, yeah, his decision was constitutional, but it was still wrong.
Yeah, what a great story, right? This guy is wrong. I believe he's wrong. I mean, he's mostly right, but I still think it should be wrong. It should be wrong. I know he's right, but I think it should be wrong. He also goes on in this story, Greg, to say that, the judge here, he never even cited Antonin Scalia's statement from Heller. And he did. And in fact, the editor had to make that correction to this story. That's again one of those misleading stories, leaving out certain facts. And finally, I was surprised that the editor came in and put that in there. That no, it wasn't there. Unlike what Skelton here said. So there's some people running scared, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of states out there right now begging California not to put this appeal in, but California feels we're so important that we're going to win, that we're going to do it and put everybody else's assault weapon ban at risk as well.
Oh yeah, no, and I'm quite honestly hoping they do, because they're going to push it through the 9th, and they've already made it clear, and they're going to take it all the way to the Supreme Court if they can. Yep. But keep in mind, folks, this is ultimately what it comes down to. They don't care what's legal. What they care about, what the left cares about, is their concept of right and wrong, of what they believe should be. It's funny. I have several times over the last few days, I do a lot of different things, and some of the groups that I work with, I actually put a green screen up because I don't want to trigger anybody. And I keep, my AR is still right there, and they'll see it, and I've intentionally left it there because I want people. I had one guy ask me, "Is that an assault weapon behind you?" I'm like, "Oh, that? No, but isn't that an AR-15?" Like, yes, but it is not an assault weapon. First of all, please explain to me what an assault weapon is. They can't. No. And then I explained to them what makes this not an assault weapon under California law, and I point out the various different things, and they're still looking, but that's still a scary looking gun.
Yeah. Come and take what's left of it. Yep.
Right. Well, exactly. But I'm like, but once again, it just comes back to, and it's been an opportunity to educate people on exactly what California's assault weapons ban is, what it covers. It just covers a bunch of features that they consider to be scary, that help make a firearm better at what a firearm is supposed to be.
Greg, the one that's always gotten me, the one that's in the assault weapon ban, I know you have it there in California, is the bayonet lug. The bayonet lug. That's the lug which you could take a bayonet and attach it to your rifle. And it's a good thing we did that, Craig, because of all the mass bayonettings we have going on around the country.
Yeah. Well, common sense has nothing to do with California gun law. I still remember when I sat before a committee when they were seeking to prohibit individuals from being able to own a 50 caliber rifle. Right. And I asked the author and the author of the bill and the chair of the committee, how many crimes in the United States have been committed utilizing a 50 caliber?
Well, let's see. According to Waco David Chipman, they shot at a helicopter there in Waco with a 50 cal, and we know that to be, what's that word? A lie.
Yes, that has already been debunked. Yep. The only crimes that are associated with a 50 caliber are people who aren't supposed to own guns owning one.
Correct. And that's the trend with all of this, right, Craig? Is, oh my God, look what this person did with this gun. That person should not have this gun. That gun was stolen. That person was a felon. Let's go ahead and make some more gun laws to restrict the lawful gun owner.
Exactly. But anyway, all of this going back to the point that here it is, one of the nation's most left-wing anti-gun columnists actually saying, he actually this judge actually is on solid legal ground. Yeah,
he did make the point in there. He said, listen, like Scalia did say, it's the Second Amendment protects use of firearms in common use. Right. Well, that's pretty much the AR-15. When you figure there's up to 100 million of them out there right now, thanks for the last couple of years, and that's common use. And
by definition,
these are not machine guns. These are not howitzers. These are not mortars or tanks. These are standard, handheld arms.
Right. So, nah.
They got so upset, Craig, and I think they all hate this word, that that Judge Benitez there compared it to a Swiss Army knife. Oh my God, 27 people weren't killed with a Swiss Army knife in such. Well, you know what? More people are killed with knives than guns every year.
Here's the funny part is I'm willing to bet that most of the people who say that don't even know what a Swiss Army knife is.
No.
Because if they did, they would know that there are very few comparisons that are as accurate. Yeah. I mean, Legos is another one. Yeah, they probably would have lost. They would have gone crazy if we had compared them to Legos.
Yeah, exactly right. It is It is today's Lego gun. You could just put on it what you want, take off what you want, because it's in common use, and everybody can modify it to their own specific legal needs.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that to their legal needs. And, some people might try to do illegal. And guess what?
Yeah.
If they do, then they get
That's
what
right.
they get.
They get to get a night at the Gray Bar.
There you go. Moving right along, we're going to move on to the Washington Post. It's kind of funny because we all know that, some folks don't believe some folks believe that they are experts simply because they are celebrities, that their celebrity in and of itself makes them an expert. Well, a lot of folks have come down really, really hard on Jon Stewart. A lot of people on the left. You guys saw it. We showed you yesterday. Jon Stewart came out and just lambasted the whole, everybody who dared to, who slammed everybody for saying that, Wuhan, the virus came out of, that COVID came out of a lab in Wuhan. And it was the intersection of both reality and comedy and just coming down on folks, right? And I loved it. I utterly loved it. Well, folks came down on him because they're like, oh, well, you shouldn't listen to him. Celebrities aren't experts. And I just found it interesting to share this story, Mike, because I'm like, these are the same folks who want us to listen to celebrities on everything else. They want us to listen to every other celebrity, but they don't want us to listen to this celebrity.
Yeah, this was great. And the Jon Stewart I think we did that Tuesday. We did the Jon Stewart story. Absolutely a tremendous. And Craig, what lives at the corner of tragedy? Yeah, I just read it. What lives at the corner of comedy and reality? Tragedy. And guess what? That's what happened to Stephen Colbert right there. Because he had to deal with it. He couldn't get his words out. He couldn't say what he wanted. And now this author comes out and says, we shouldn't trust celebrities. Celebrities are bad. You can't go watching one of these entertainment shows and trust somebody like Jon Stewart. But Stephen Colbert, he puts out good info. And you're like, oh, wait, hold on a second. This guy just told me not to listen to celebrities, except that one. That one's okay. The one that was not making fun of my point of view, that's the guy it's okay to listen to. Oh, gotcha. This should be called hypocrisy, not celebrity.
Exactly. Anyway, it cracked me up because I'm like, we're told we're supposed to listen to LeBron James on policing. We're told that we're supposed to listen to George Clooney on the environment. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how all of a sudden, because this particular celebrity decided that he's going to go against the left-wing norm, that all of a sudden he's now not an expert. It was just amazing. First of all, I've never thought that Steve Colbert was anywhere. I don't think he could hold Jon Stewart's jockstrap. Number one.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
not even remotely close.
Not even when he's not wearing it. Yeah,
not even when he's not wearing it.
Yeah. I think this became a big issue when President Trump decided he was running for a president, right? I mean, we'd always heard from celebrities before then, but all of a sudden they became expert witnesses in what a politician is,
right.
Or what politics are. So I just became weird. It's incredible how those conservatives that are celebrities, you hear very little from them, but those liberals that are celebrities think you need to hear their opinion every day.
Exactly. And guess what? We don't. We really don't.
Yeah. No.
You can shut up. We don't
listen. It's a problem.
We don't care what you think about guns. Yeah. We really don't.
I know you celebrities. It might be a problem. You could maybe get a 28-day program. You can go get yourself in one of those. How to keep from opening your damn mouth. That's it. Yeah. You can get that program.
Well, hey, speaking of opening their mouth, California's Secretary of State has thrown an interesting wrinkle into the California recall election. That's right. Gavin Mussolini, or Gavin Newsom, as Democrats like to call him, he's being recalled in the state of California. And there are a number of candidates, like 40 different candidates who are running. A number of them are Republicans. A number of them are claiming to be Republicans.
Right.
But that having been said, there was a law that was passed when Donald Trump was running for president or running for re-election that would require candidates in statewide elections to actually release 5 years of their tax returns. And the goal was to try and get Donald Trump to release his tax returns. Well, that part of the law was struck down by the California Supreme Court. But the part that wasn't was the part requiring gubernatorial candidates to do so. Now, the interesting thing is, it didn't say, and it specifically spoke to in the primary and in the general election, but said nothing about a recall election. Well,
Yeah.
now you have the Secretary of State of California saying, yeah, you guys are all now going to have to release your tax returns.
This is pretty ironic, isn't it? That they pass a law that says everybody's got to release their tax returns, state level, federal level, and then it gets overturned, and because they wanted President Trump to, or candidate Trump at the time, to release his tax returns, and it got overturned, and he didn't have to. And they're all sitting around going, "Damn it, we couldn't get bad orange man to do what we wanted." And now they're all subject to their own law they created, because again, you got 40 of them or so running for recall, running in the recall election there. Now there's some banter back and forth. It says something in there has to be a direct election, and they're trying to argue it's a special election. Well, it's still a direct election. It's not a secret ballot election. It's still a direct election. So they're gonna go back and forth on this a couple of times, and they're gonna end up having to give up their tax returns. And of course, Governor Newsom says, "Well, I already did mine." Now, what did he do? He let some reporters sit with his tax returns for like an hour for his last year tax returns, not the last 5 years. So you're going to hear more from him as well.
But here's the thing: technically, he's not a candidate, so he shouldn't. He may not have to release his 5-year tax returns.
He did, but as he said, now he's going to be running because in a recall election, he still gets to run for re-election. They haven't recalled him, but he gets to be one of the candidates, I believe, for the re-election.
I don't think he's listed as a candidate. At least I didn't see that he's listed as a candidate.
Well, let's take a look. Is Gary Coleman running on this one again too?
No, Gary Coleman is dead. Which in California, in Chicago, in Illinois, that might qualify him to still run. In California, I don't know.
Yeah, he'd probably do a better job.
He can't do a worse job. He can't do a worse job. Let me tell you. All right, folks. Hey, let's get into today's parting shot. We've kind of hinted to it a little bit earlier today, but the great part we've always known that Donald Trump was the center and primary focus of the left. And, some of us thought that, once the election was over, once we move on, some of us thought, okay, now they're going to have to now deal with reality, and they're going to have to deal with Republicans, conservative ideas, policies, yada, yada, yada. But we all know that is not the case. As well as noted here, Donald Trump does appear to be living in their heads.
Rent free. Living rent free in their heads. It drives people nuts. I saw a story today that said the Captain Florida here, Governor DeSantis, was considered one of the front runners for the 2024 presidential campaign. Unless President Trump wants to run, in that case, he's a front runner to be the vice president. And that just set Trump people off. Or you see the TDS, the Trump derangement syndrome, folks. They just went, bye, he can't, and this and that. And I'm like, just, relax. We know your game. We read your book. We saw your tricks. We saw how you stole elections. Guess what's going to happen? Why do you think new election laws are being passed around the country right now? To keep you from thieving again, you lying cheats.
Well, what you would think that they would want him back, because one of the things that's been interesting is, cable news, their viewership has tanked.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of these left-wing organizations, their funding and their fundraising has tanked. The fact is, for the left, Donald Trump has been good for business.
Yeah.
much the way Barack Obama and now Joe Biden are good for gun sales.
Yeah, but that's about all they're good for. Look at your gas prices, look at your tax rates, look at everything else. But listen, Trump, they're afraid, they're scared. Yeah. They're scared because they know his base is just getting stronger, his base is getting larger, and the first 4 years, like we talked about this week, Craig, where he held back, he didn't put Hillary in jail, he didn't go after people, he was trying to unite a country, unlike what they're trying to do. But if he comes back in for this next 4-year term, oh boy. He's going to come in like that Miley Cyrus song. He's going to come in on a wrecking ball, baby. He's coming in on a wrecking ball. Yeah,
I still believe that he is best as a symbol as opposed to the president. I think him leading a movement is better than him trying to do the governing. I think the idea of him identifying candidates who are of the Donald Trump mold, in that they're willing to take on the establishment, they're willing to not give in to the bureaucracy, and they're willing to fight fight for the people. I think he serves better as that sort of a symbol than as the president himself.
I think the problem with your theory, and it's a working theory for both of us, is that yes, he can be the kingmaker, but the people that he's going to groom or want to sit in his stead will be the establishment. He is the anti-establishment. You can't just pop another anti-establishment person in there. You've got to pull somebody from the establishment in there, pat them on the back and say, go. And the problem is once they're president, well, now they're the establishment and they want to do things the same old way.
The challenge is Donald Trump, when it came to doing his job, was I would just say this, just about every single issue that he ran into, most of his biggest fights and battles were of his own making. Most of his biggest problems were of his own making. And unless it is a Donald Trump who is willing to actually listen to some advice and actually be more judicious with his words when and how he communicates, then he's going to be there were a lot of things that Donald Trump could have done and could have gotten done that he didn't get done. And quite frankly, a lot of it was on the left and was on the Democrats and their unwillingness to work with him. But a lot of it was, he just kept stepping on his own toes.
Well, and I don't think he kept stepping on his own toes. I think he kept stepping on everybody else's toes. The establishment.
No, he kept stepping on his own toes.
And the problem was, this is the way he should do it. He should walk through and go, you know what? Here's my agenda. If you don't like it, you're fired.
It's not about, it wasn't about his agenda. It was about the fact that he would just, and first of all, Mike, you know this. You don't need to kick every barking dog. He would pick fights that, first of all, that he didn't need to pick. Number two, he would say things that, okay, he had the tendency to put what we in the hood like to call, he had a tendency to put dubs on it. It's like, when he didn't have to.
Yeah.
I'm just he could have been better than he was. He was a good president. Don't get me wrong. In my opinion, he did a good job. I just believe he could have done better than he did.
Oh, everybody could always do better, right? That's why he'll be that much better in the next term.
I'm not so convinced. Obviously, if he is running, he will be the front runner. If he is on the ballot and he is the Republican nominee, I will definitely support him and vote for him. Well, who knows? We'll see. I may actually vote for him in the primary if he turns it, depending on who else is running. But I got to tell you, I think he's much more effective raising money for and identifying candidates of his kind, of his ilk, than not. Because I look at the success that he had, and a lot of the successes he had was because he was very good at selecting people to serve in his administration, and they were the ones who got a lot of the stuff done.
People that were on board with his agenda, and then when they weren't, he got rid of them, and I admire that. Rather than trying to have the appearance of let's continue to work together for 2 more years until the next term. No, you know what? Here's my agenda. It's been the same since then. If you're not on board, you're out.
Yeah, if it was the same the entire time.
Listen, he's also a man that we know can be convinced one way or the other if new facts emerge.
Right. Fact.
People would call him, he changed his mind again. Oh, you know what? How many times did you have to call Kerry a flip flopper? That guy changed his mind every day for actual policies, as opposed to the way that Trump was trying to carry out his policies.
You get no disagreement from you get no disagreement from me on that. Like I said, I just think he'd be better, especially since he'll be 70. What will he be then? He'll be like 77, 78.
But those are Trump years. It's not like they're Biden years. They're different, it's 77 in Trump years is like 42, and what's Biden now? 78. That's like 114. It's like metric. It's like one's metric and one's standard. Like Biden's got Canadian age going on.
Right. Right. I hear you, bro. Anyway, hey, folks, got to remind you, tomorrow is Freedback Friday. Freedback Friday. Mikey, tell them what they can win.
Perfect gifts. You got them coming to you. You got 100% machined upper receiver here from Gorilla Machining, and then an 80% lower paperweight, aluminum paperweight from Grid Defense. And these are going to one lucky winner tomorrow on Freedback Friday. Tell them what they have to do to win it, Craig.
All right. Well, first of all, you got to make sure that you're watching. And not only do you have to make sure that you're watching, you got to make sure that your friends are watching, because it's going to go to the best commenter. But we need at least 10 of you to comment. We need at least 10 commenters, not just viewers. We need people to get up in there and say hello, say what's up. to let us know what you think about the content, about the conversation, right? So
Yeah.
the idea here is we're trying to drive engagement. So
Talking
if you're
about
not
you, Rand Paul.
engaged, you can't win. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? You got to buy a ticket.
Talking about you, Rand Paul. We saw your name in the comments section last week. We just need you to actually make some comments.
Yes, we did, Rand Paul. Also,
Excuse me,
please make
Senator
sure
Paul.
you
Senator
like,
Paul.
share, and subscribe. Follow us on both Facebook, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram. We'd like to be able to start broadcasting these also on Rumble and make them available on Parler, but we need you guys to follow us there as well.
Yeah. Where those places are that Craig said, do that there. Like, share, subscribe.
All right, folks. That's going to be it for today's edition of The Rundown. Tell your friends, like, share, subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow.